To the Laws of Life. I'm your host, Blanca Greenstein, and today's guest is a very good friend, colleague, and mentor, Miss KARYN TURK. How are you doing?
I am so glad to be here. It's so nice to be back on your show. Thank you so much for having me.
You are so welcome. It's a gift to have you on the show. And for those of you who don't know KARYN, KARYN TURK is a radio and television host, both nationally and internationally, and also an accomplished movie actress with movie credits to her credits.
I have a couple of movie credits now.
You were in the Burt Reynolds movie?
I was in the Burt Reynolds TV show. I was in the show with him, which is called Insanity Florida. If you haven't watched it, you should. It's on Netflix. And I also had the pleasure of working on some other projects this year. I worked on a film called Nearly Departed with Robert Carradine, who was Lewis from Revenge of the Nerds. So I'm dating myself a little bit, but you know, it's a great retro movie if you're looking for something to watch with your kids. It's a great movie. So I had the pleasure of working with him. And then I also was in a comedy movie, actually, which was funny because it's kind of on the other side of the aisle a little bit for me, because anybody who watches me knows I'm a conservative Republican. And I got to be a basic Trump supporter in Fake News, a Trump Story.
Wow.
But the movie's actually really entertaining. You know, I think we all have to use comedy and laugh at ourselves here and there, and I'm really happy with how the movie turned out.
You've developed a lot of humor in some of your acting. I'm really impressed by that because, you know, you are a serious journalist, and just so you know, you host television both nationally and internationally, but then you're able to pick up a sense that's not easy to pick up a sense of humor as well.
Well, I think it comes naturally, and I think we all have that natural ability to be comical and to laugh at ourselves and to enjoy each other. And I think sometimes we get so serious and we get so caught up in the politics of the day or whatever it is that we're doing that we kind of forget that, you know, the most important thing is to laugh.
That is one of the most obvious laws of life. Don't forget to laugh. Okay, so just so you guys know, KARYN is one of my mentors and one of the people that influenced me. I would not have started my show, The Laws of Life, if I hadn't seen and been influenced by what you were doing. So thank you for that.
You are so welcome. And you know, somebody said something to me recently which really touched me. It was one of our celebrity clients who I won't mention, but they said, if you impact one person in your life, you've done your job here. And it makes me feel so special that I've impacted you in that way to inspire you to do your own TV show. Because for me, for so long, I kind of sat back and I was an executive and I did all these things that I thought I needed to do because I wanted to be an educated, strong woman. And I kind of shied away from being in front of the camera, which was what I wanted to do since I was a child. And I got to pick it up about 6-7 years ago, and it's been a great ride ever since.
Yeah, you've totally been an example. You've been consistent, and you know, you've taken the time to meet with me for coffee, for lunch, and give me tips, and that's so important. Part of the growth process too. And one of the things I want to talk about with you today is empowerment. As we do have our upcoming Laws of Life Mastermind on August 27th. If you haven't registered yet, go to www.lawsoflife.shop. You will be inspired, and you'll be seeing interviews during that night of empowering women, one being KARYN TURK. So let me ask you a question. What is your definition of empowerment?
I think empowerment is really believing in yourself above everything else. I think empowerment comes from within. I think you have to really be settled and at a point where you don't use as much self-judgment on yourself, which I'm very guilty of, but that you also don't allow others to judge you. And you kind of have to look inside and develop that inner confidence to be empowered and to be able to say, you know what, it's okay, I made a mistake, I screwed up, let me move on, let me wipe the slate clean. And I can't tell you how many times I've made mistakes and had to crawl my way back up, or said something that I review on a tape and I said, gosh, you know, I shouldn't have said that, that looked stupid, that sounds stupid. And I found that I was really self-critical. And I think you have to get past that. I think it's a problem for a lot of women. I think we negative self-talk ourselves more than the judgment of others most of the time. You know, or we perceive that others are judging us, or, you know, that they have an opinion about things that are really kind of in our own head. So I think it's really important for women to kind of find their space inside and develop self-confidence over everything else.
That's so true. Let me ask you this. Do you think that in order to equate to the definition of empowerment, we must overcome some form of adversity in our life?
Yes.
So would you be willing to share your personal story?
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of challenges. I mean, I think we all do, and I think the more you're kind of at peace with your challenges and you're able to find the positive in things. You know a little bit about my backstory, and one of the things that I'm really passionate about talking about is adoption. Because I think we've gotten on this political narrative now where we talk about abortion, we talk about being pro-life, and you have to be at one side or the other side. You can't be someone that looks at all the options and all the choices. And I want to be somebody who works adoption into that mix. So we can raise the narrative and talk about it.
Okay.
Because I'm adopted. And
Okay.
I grew up in an amazing, wonderful family and
Nice.
had this very idyllic childhood. Not everybody has that. Not everybody's adoption story is like mine, a beautiful, wonderful love story. But at the same time, you can look back on something like that and you can say, this has shaped me to be who I am.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little bit of all of these people and I'm a little bit of all these experiences. Or you can choose to take, a negative road and say, oh, I didn't have a fair shake because of this or that. Or, it's really your choice what you make of your upbringing in your life. And I think I've been through a lot of therapy too. So I want to be really upfront about that.
Maybe
I
you
think
can
have
share
to
that
do-
with us.
Yeah, you have to do what you need to do to kind of become at peace with yourself. I've done hypnotherapy. I've done traditional therapy. I'll go see a psychic. I'll see a guru. I'll do anything to really put my mind at ease to be able to find a space within myself where I can succeed.
So there's a lot of laws of life in what you just said. And one of my favorites is that you don't have to choose to see the negative in the experience, as bad as that experience may seem.
Absolutely.
So you have to find the positive, extract the positive. I personally believe you have adversity, and if you can cope with it with positive energy, you've already succeeded.
Right.
And so what was the negative side of the story? You had obviously a very beautiful upbringing.
I did.
So how did adoption become adversity in your mind?
I think because when you're an adopted child, you kind of never fit in. You are different. It's reality. You always kind of feel like you're a little bit out of place, like everything's just kind of not right. Like I described it to my husband one day and I said, I kind of feel like at 3 years old, like I kind of felt like a little bit of an alien. Like,
Did you?
Here I am, I've landed with these people, they're all Democrats, I'm not really sure what's going on. And I kind of, was able to kind of learn that, you have skills. Some things are biological, some things are emotional, but environmental, but you're a combination of both of those things, and there has to be balance in that. So, certainly my childhood was very idyllic in comparison to other people's childhoods.
Right.
But at the same time, I did definitely have that kind of feeling that something was missing, and there was something that didn't fit.
You felt different.
Absolutely.
And you knew this even before you understood what adoption meant?
I was 3 years old, and I actually went up the street, and you know how little kids are. We had about 20 kids in my neighborhood. I grew up in an amazing neighborhood in Scenic, New Jersey, and we would go out and play manhunt till late at night, and just a lot of kids my age. And I was young. I was probably 3 or 4.
Okay.
And I had been outside playing, because at that time you let your 3 or 4-year-old outside to play. And I came home, and I said, one of the older kids up the street, Mommy, said, I'm adopted, and they were all made up a song, you're adopted, whatever it was at the time.
But in a taunting way.
But we weren't so PC back then. So it's like I came home and all these kids were teasing me about something. What's the deal? And my mom said, I wasn't planning on telling you until you were 8 or 9.
Oh, God.
But, now that it's here, she goes, I just said to myself, I might as well just be honest with her, because otherwise she's going to end up resenting me for not giving her the true story right now when she's bringing it up. And I was probably 3 or 4. So I grew up my entire life knowing that I was adopted and know something that was different about me. But at the same time, the difference was, I think, that my mother, and my mother was not the most positive individual.
Okay.
But in the one way that she really shaped me is she never made that a negative. It was always like, you're special and we chose you. We didn't just have a baby, we chose you.
So the communication of how your mother spoke to you and how she framed that was very important.
Absolutely.
Because,
Absolutely.
which goes to a point made earlier, that words obviously can be very damaging. If your mother hadn't said the message in a more positive way, it could have caused damage.
Potentially, but I also think that, we put a lot of emphasis these days on words.
Mm-hmm.
And we put a lot of emphasis on how those words make us feel. And at the end of the day, they are just words. Remember when we were kids, they would say sticks and stones? Sticks and stones. And I'm not advocating that we should tease each other or not be nice to each other, but I think we've become such a PC culture that we kind of just put ourselves in this box.
For the benefit of the audience, what is your definition of PC?
PC, my definition of PC is probably anything that, we wouldn't have found offensive 15 years ago.
Okay,
And
interesting.
I think we've really just, there are things that are definitely offensive. And there's times that I offend people. There's times I say something and I'm like, oh, that was stupid to say. But it's owning that and saying, you know what, I'm sorry I said that. That was really insensitive of me. Or, it didn't come out the way that I chose that it was going to.
So let me ask you this. You've got the adversity. Now obviously, you're at a point of total empowerment in your life, confidence.
I really am. Like, I'm not even, like, I actually wake up every day and I kind of have to pinch myself that this is my life.
So tell the people watching out there, how do you get from adversity, point A, to empowerment, point E for empowerment? How do you get to that point, specifically?
And you know what? I think there's a lot of women that are watching this that are probably in our demo here. So I know you're doing this big seminar coming up. So
Yes,
I think that really I'd like to address that is, we all have these challenges, and not only just about my childhood upbringing, but, I failed at a lot of relationships. I'm on my third marriage, and thankfully I kind of got to a point, around 40 where I figured out what I needed in a relationship rather than just kind of looking for that checklist.
Okay.
And I think a lot of times we look for that checklist. We say, well, on paper, this is what I have to do, whether it's your job or your marriage or anything else. And we put these parameters in place that are totally unrealistic. And you kind of have to say, you know what, I'm going to throw out the checklist a little bit, and I'm going to focus on what the goal is and how I'm going to get there without placing all these restrictions on myself, because then it becomes, if this doesn't happen, then I'm not going to do this. If this doesn't happen, and you're almost giving yourself an excuse to fail.
Tip number 1, throw out the checklist.
Throw out the checklist.
And just go with your gut, go with your heart.
Gut. Trust your gut. I say that all the time, and I get caught up, as we all do, and I'm better at it now, and I'm approaching my later 40s now, and I can't believe it. But,
Would never guess.
I've gotten to the point now where I'm like, you know what? It's okay. It's okay. It's okay if it doesn't work out the way that I thought it was going to, but I know what my goal is, and I'm going to just keep trying, or I'm going to try a different direction. I'm not so rigid as I used to be.
In other words, we don't have to be in such a rush to get to the goal. And what I always say is, have the fun, the money will come. Just enjoy what you do. If you're not enjoying what you do, I don't think you found your purpose. Do you love what you do now?
I love what I do.
So tell us, what are you doing specifically?
I mean, I'm doing a lot of news. I mean, we have the 2020 elections coming up, so there's a lot of news right now. And,
Okay.
I love to talk about politics, and I
Okay.
love to inspire women to talk about politics.
Nice.
And this has nothing to do, it's not a partisan issue. I don't want to just inspire Republican women, although I really do like it when they speak up. I want to inspire women in general, because I think politics is a tough topic for everyone, but even tougher for women. Women tend to not give themselves enough credit on how smart they really are. And politics is about being logical. It's about taking it all in, coming up with an opinion, and stating what your opinion is. That's free speech.
And
that's
it's
what
okay.
America was founded on.
Exactly.
And we just kind of make a habit of thinking it's something that's too complicated for me. And you wouldn't know how many women pull me aside and will poke me on the shoulder at an event or whatever, and they'll say, I love what you do, but I could never do that. And some of them can't do it validly because I have a really big mouth about it, and people who have careers and have to deal with other kinds of people, I'm really lucky that I'm doing TV, and at this point later in life I found my niche. But even other people, you don't necessarily have to talk about it, you don't have to be outspoken, but at least take it in and formulate an opinion. And if you're with your friends or your family, don't be afraid if you have an alternate opinion.
Exactly.
That's okay. That's what makes us who we are.
100%. Whether it's politics, whatever the issue is, life, business, whatever it is, it's healthy to express your opinion, and it's okay to agree to disagree.
Yeah.
So what is after all this experience you've developed in life on obviously a personal and a business level, what's your number one business law of life? What do you say to people aspiring to be successful? What's your number one law?
Have a goal. It's have a goal. It's that simple. I think in business it's the same thing. I think you can't get anywhere in business or in life without saying, you know what, this is my dream. This is what I want to manifest. This is where I see myself going in a year, in a month, in 2 days. And it doesn't matter if you meet the goal, but you always have to have your goal in sight. You always have to know how you want to win the game. If you don't know how you're going to win and you can't picture yourself winning, you're not going to win.
I like that. And so you have to have the goal, but also enunciate the steps to reach the goal, have a strategy.
You have to manifest. I mean, you know, I won Mrs. Florida 2016. I never competed in a pageant before. It really wasn't something that was even on my radar screen until I went into a charity event and I met some really inspiring women.
Amazing.
And they said to me, you know, you should do this. And I had a couple glasses of wine in me. We've talked about this before. And I said, I'm going to do this. I'm going to win this pageant. And I really manifested that. I can't emphasize this enough that I actually pictured myself winning, achieving, doing it before it ever happened. And because I had run through the scenario so many times in my head in such a positive way, I really feel that I was so empowered when I got on the stage that that's why I won that pageant.
That's incredible. That's a great avenue, you know, to manifest it, to visualize it, to feel it, to see it in your mind before it even happens.
And that's what you did with the show. That's exactly the same thing that you did with the show, because I remember talking to you years ago and you saying, I want to do this, this is what I'm going to do. And you pictured yourself winning. You pictured yourself having the show. So I think maybe that's the one rule for today for everybody watching is that, you know, you have to actually visualize yourself winning your goal. You have to visualize how you're going to achieve it and run it through in your mind so many times that it becomes a positive scenario.
And what is your dream today?
My dream today is really to keep doing what I'm doing, but on a bigger and better level.
Amazing.
You know, I want to have a bigger platform. I want to be able to get my story heard to more people. I want to talk more about my personal life and my personal details. I want to talk more about adoption. I want to talk about my failed relationships. I want to talk about things that other women and other people can relate to. Because I think the more we share our stories with each other, the more human we become.
I'm telling you, you're a poet. The more we share our stories, the more human we become. So I want to thank you for sharing your stories. I always enjoy having you as a guest on the show, and you're a great friend and a great mentor. Never stop connecting. Keep sharing your story. Let's be open about the adversity. I hope you learned something today. I know I did. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.